Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do our August the 22nd spiritual principle a day in a meditation. It sure is good to be with you. Let's go ahead and get into that screen, see what we have. The title, oh, the fifth step. Okay. The title of the meditation is Trust and the Fifth Step. This may be the first time we've ever trusted another person enough to tell her or him about ourselves and allow that person to get to know us. Now, that comes from It Works, step 5. We addicts have lots of stories, what some consider to be deep, dark secrets others easily share, sometimes even as badges of honor. Many of us are fine with divulging the goriest details of our using days, the mayhem of our childhoods, and our experiences of victimization. Regarding the fourth and fifth steps, we think, no problem. I am an open book. But as we do the work that is suggested, perhaps using the step working guides, there's a depth inherent in those questions that goes way beyond our comfort. Exposing our own part in situations turns out to be messy, agonizing, and illuminating all at once. For many of us, our pettiness, our unforgiving nature or unkind acts, our ego on blast, our shame, these carefully guarded parts of ourselves turn out to be far more significant than the dramatic tales we thought we'd tell. Thankfully, we've had the benefit and experience of the previous steps to build trust in the program, each other, a higher power, and our sponsor. The fifth step is an opportunity for us to open our whole book and have another human being bear witness to the stories about ourselves that are the hardest to tell. As much as we've been nervous about sharing our inventory with another person, it's the first time we've admitted much of this business to ourselves. Building a bond of trust takes courage as well as vulnerability. As we exercise that bond, weight is lifted off our shoulders. We've revealed the truth about ourselves and we're not rejected. Many of us don't even realize how distant we've been in our relationships as a result of the secrets we'd guarded. And often being seen as truly ourselves by one person allows us to feel much lighter and more open in other relationships. One bond of trust inspires us to form others. I'm willing to practice trust by sharing my whole story with another person. I aim to build upon my ability to trust and be trustworthy by applying what I've learned to other relationships. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today. Please and thank you. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? This meditation, wow. Let's unpack it. I said that for my friend out there. PWL, right? Let's unpack it. We're talking about being able to do the fifth step and get past. I don't even want to say past, right? Because I'm not trying to minimize our shares in meetings, right? I'm not trying to minimize that. Some people come to meetings and they do what I would call mini, not MANY, but MINI. They do small fifth steps with the whole group. And a lot of times we're sitting there thinking, I could never share something that like that. That's a secret that I could not just come to the meeting and put it on the table. That's something that I would share for my sponsor. And we sort of judge people, we sort of judge those people that do that. And um, if it's affecting their recovery, they have the right to share whatever they need to, right? So maybe their judgment, right, their discretion is not as tweaked as we would like it to be, right? So we sit there and we're listening and thinking like, no, I hope he don't share that. I hope she don't share that. Oh man. And we kind of want to sneak out of the meeting because it feels embarrassing or like it's our story, right? And we feel kind of embarrassed, for the individual because it's so deep and it's so personal. And instead of looking at the glass half full and appreciating their vulnerability on such a level, right? We negate it by judging them, right? So there's that, right? There's that. There's the stories we tell, whether they be, deeply personal, deeply emotional or not. There's that version of us in the meeting that we share. Okay. I'm not talking about that. Neither are they. They're talking about using the step working guide and writing your steps, doing your fourth and fifth step with a sponsor. Many people that use the table or the group as a sponsor may come to the meeting and do these mini fifth steps, right? And a lot of times, what I have found, my own experience, may not be yours, what I have found is in those moments when I don't use as much discretion about what I share, right? Because, my story can be deeply triggering for those that have been trafficked, for those that have been sexually abused. Um, there's been some heinous things that have occurred. Those that have been tortured or beaten. My story touches on a lot of that deep, deep abusive type stuff. And I haven't always, I use discretion today. So saying I don't always is not applicable, but I have not always used the best discretion. And the meeting becomes Me Too type of meeting with men squirming in their seats because the women now have taken over the meeting and are sharing their experience, strength, and hope, more related to childhood, early adolescence, trauma. Okay. So my bad, right? I've been that individual, so I can speak for it from both sides, right? That's what this is talking about. This is talking about having a sponsor that you do that with. And what I found is a lot of times when I would do that, not show discretion, I wasn't on the best terms with my sponsor, or I had dropped the ball on an assignment with my sponsor, and I needed to offload something that was going on, right? When I'm connected to other people in the fellowship, when I'm connected to my sponsor, when I'm interacting, right? When I am interacting, there isn't that sense of urgency to do a mini fifth step in the meeting because I've had that connection with my sponsor. I do that with them, or I have a connection with my sponsee network, right? Sponsor has a sponsee, and so the sponsee probably has interacted with other people their sponsor is actually sponsoring. So now it's a sponsee brother, a sponsee sister. There's that fellowship among one another that are being sponsored by the same individual. Maybe I'm networking with them, and you know what? I get to sit and have coffee and chit chat and, you know, talk it up and cry a little bit, laugh a lot a bit, right? And when I go to the meeting, I'm not desperate in the meeting. I'm not desperate to share in the meeting, and I can lend my ears to other people that need to and want to share. I get to be of service doing that, right? So where are we? Let's talk about that. Let's unpack this because this is what it's talking about. It's talking about going beyond that open share and coming into the zone of something that is more vulnerable, is more intimate, uh, and we're telling our part of the story. Yeah, we're aware that we've been traumatized, but we're sharing the part that we played, and we're allowing. And I want you to catch this. We're allowing someone, our sponsor, to have an inside picture of who we really are, who we have really been. What part did we play in that traumatizing situation? And then, listen, inviting them, because that's what you're doing when you have a sponsor, you're inviting them into your life to speak into your life according to the 12 steps and 12 traditions and the spiritual principles therein. We're allowing them to give us feedback. And here's the thing I found with myself on any given day, I may not be humble enough for the feedback. I got a person in my life, a sponsor. She tried to let me know in a very smooth way. She's good with her words, and I think I'm pretty good with mine. She is a highly educated woman, and she will come in there so slick with her suggestion that I don't even know that I've been suggested. Come on, somebody. She's so she is so smooth with the way she swoops in there. And you know what? Some of the time when I'm running my mouth, I think you should not have told her that. I'm thinking one thing is going to end up being the targeted conversation, right? The targeted correction. I'm thinking to myself, oh man, you done messed up. You done told this lady too much. And you know what? She'll be focused on something else. She'll be focused on maybe not even what I thought would be the issue. She'll be focusing on in a real loving, diplomatic way on the tone that I'm using, the tone in which I told the story, and say something like, I'm listening to you, Mighty Stream. I'm listening to you. And first of all, I want you to know that I love you. But I hear so much pride in what you're saying. I just hear a lot of pride. You're still afraid to be vulnerable. And I think to myself, what the heck? What? I just told this lady that whatever I told her, I'm not about to tell y'all. I just told this lady, let's use an example that I snapped in the grocery store and or that I, had to go back and do this 10th step with someone and all she is focusing on is the tone of my voice. Oh man. And I have to sit there and retell it in a manner that really reflects humility. She's slick. I'm trying to tell y'all, right? I invited her though, right? I've invited her into my life to be able to take the spiritual principles and apply them to whatever I'm sharing so that I have a clearer picture of the application of the spiritual principles in my life. That's a heck of a statement there that I would invite a human being to give me feedback, whether it's good or bad, and most of the time, corrective. Shoo, it's nothing to run from, folks. Having a sponsor is nothing to run from because when you start peering into who you've really been with the guidance of a sponsor, you now have an opportunity to correct the behavior that needs to be corrected. And that's the deeper look. That's beyond the open share. That's the real nitty gritty. That's sharing with God and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Hmm. Ta, 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 ta. This meditation is so good. I could go on forever, but I'm not going to. I'm going to release you to go back into this meditation. Grab somebody today and say, you know what? I want to do the spiritual principle a day in a meditation with someone over coffee today. Can you meet me at Starbucks and, just sit down and go over this with me? I'd be interested in your feedback. Call your sponsor. But whatever you do, remember that we're working on being willing to practice trust by sharing our whole story with another person, that we're aiming to build upon our ability to trust and to be trustworthy by applying what we've learned to other relationships. Take a chance on your sponsor. And as you develop that, you'll find yourself being willing to take a chance on other people in your network, in the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. I loved my time with you today, but I have to go, guys. I have to go. I want for you to have a beautiful day on purpose. Talk to you tomorrow.